If you look really closely at the global economic map, there's actually this invisible country just hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, and it basically appeared almost overnight.
Right. It has an economy the exact size of the United Kingdom. And according to like a mind-boggling economic analysis from McKinsey in our source stack today, it is going to completely duplicate itself next year and then the year after that.
It's wild to think about. We're talking about the financial impact of generative AI, which has the potential to add between 2.6 and $4.4 trillion annually to the global economy.
Which is just a staggering amount of wealth and productivity being generated out of thin air.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, framing it as adding a whole new UK to the world's GDP every single 12 months, it really forces a perspective shift.
It really does.
Yeah, it moves the conversation away from looking at this as just, another neat software update and frames it as a fundamental seismic shift in human output.
But, and this is a massive glaring catch, and really the entire reason we are doing this deep dive for you today, there's a problem.
A huge problem.
Right. So the adoption of these tools absolutely exploded between 2023 and 2025. We are talking about 65% of organizations using generative AI regularly in their workflows.
Which sounds great on paper.
It does, yet the source data reveals a reality check that is just wild. Only 1% of organizations have actually reached what the researchers call AI maturity.
And that 1% figure is so telling. It means 99% of companies and likely millions of professionals are essentially just playing around.
Just tinkering.
Exactly. They have access to the most powerful tools ever created, but they haven't figured out how to translate that access into measurable bottom-line results. They're completely stuck in the cycle of testing without ever deploying.
So our mission for this deep dive is to help you bridge that exact gap. We're going to help you audit your own AI use and transition from this messy, chaotic experimentation phase into true, measurable optimization.
That's the goal.
Right, let's unpack this from the beginning. Because to understand how you get into that elite 1%, we first have to figure out why 99% of the world is just, stuck spinning their wheels in the mud.
Well, to understand that friction, we have to look at a concept championed by Stanford's Eric Brynjolfsson. It's known as the productivity paradox.
Productivity paradox.
Yeah, and it is incredibly counterintuitive. But the data shows that when companies first adopt AI, there's very often a significant initial drop in productivity.
Wait, a drop?
A drop.
You buy the ultimate productivity tool, you plug it in, and your entire team instantly becomes less productive than they were without it.
That is exactly what the data reflects across multiple sectors. Even in highly regimented, data-driven industries like manufacturing, we see these temporary dips in overall output.
Oh, wow.
Organizations find themselves trapped in what the researchers term pilot purgatory. They run endless weekend hackathons. They do isolated little tests in the marketing department.
Oh, right, the classic pilot program.
Right, and they launch these programs that generate a ton of internal hype, but they never actually integrate into the daily workflow of the broader company.
Pilot purgatory. I mean, that sounds like a miserable place to be. It actually reminds me of buying a state-of-the-art, incredibly complex gym machine for your garage.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right, because you buy it thinking, I'm going to get so fit so fast. But for the first month, you actually get a much worse workout than you used to.
Because you don't know how to use it yet.
Exactly. Because instead of just doing your normal routine of lifting weights or going for a run, you're spending 40 minutes standing in your garage, squinting at a manual, adjusting complicated pulleys, and just trying desperately not to break the thing.
Yeah, you're just intimidated by it.
Right. The tool is objectively better, but the friction of learning to use it completely ruins your momentum.
That analogy captures the mechanics of the productivity drop perfectly. The initial loss in output isn't because the AI is a bad tool.
Right.
It is entirely due to the steep learning curves and the heavy overhead of verifying the AI's outputs.
Yeah.
You are fundamentally changing how a human brain interacts with a task.
It's not magic.
No, it's a highly complex system requiring a systemic strategy.
You can't just hand someone a login credential and say, go be faster.
No. And the companies failing right now are the ones doing exactly that. The takeaway for you listening right now is highly strategic.
Which is?
Let your competitors stay distracted in that mad scientist experimentation phase. Let them run the flashy hackathons that go nowhere. Your competitive advantage comes from focusing on the unglamorous work of system optimization.
So if the initial learning curve feels like assembling complex furniture without instructions, What is the actual reward for the companies that push through it?
It's massive.
Let's get into the hard data on who actually wins when they crest that hill.
Okay, so the academic evidence we have now is incredibly rigorous. For example, a major 2023 study published in the journal Science tracked workers using ChatGPT for professional writing tasks.
Okay.
The researchers found it reduced the time spent on those tasks by a massive 40%.
Think about what that actually means for a moment. For a standard 8-hour workday, that is over 3 hours handed back to the employee.
It's life-changing.
It is 3 hours to do deeper research, talk to clients, or just, finally clear out that backlog.
And it wasn't just a matter of working faster. The study showed it simultaneously boosted the quality of the output by 18%, as graded by independent evaluators.
Wow, so faster and better.
Exactly. Then you look at a massive Fortune 500 experiment focused on customer service. Using AI assistants, they saw a 14% overall increase in issue resolution.
That's significant at that scale.
But here is the most crucial detail of that entire study. The gains are not distributed equally across the workforce.
Yeah.
Novice or historically weaker workers in that customer service study saw massive 34% gains in their productivity.
Okay, wait, let me push back on this for a second.
Sure.
Because if I'm running a business and my junior employees, the novices who just graduated, are suddenly getting a 34% boost and instantly catching up to my veterans who have been here for 10 years,
Right.
doesn't that completely devalue expertise? Why would I ever hire a senior employee at a premium salary if a junior worker armed with an AI can churn out the exact same work?
This is a trap a lot of executives are falling into right now. They look at the massive gains for novices and think they can just hollow out their senior staff to save money.
Yeah, that seems like the obvious, if ruthless, conclusion.
But the data proves why that strategy fails catastrophically due to something called the bottleneck effect.
Let me guess. If my junior staff is suddenly producing 34% more work, someone has to actually read and approve that work.
Exactly.
So the bottleneck just shifts further down the assembly line.
That is the reality. Let's look at software developers to see how this plays out. When developers started using AI tools like Copilot, the individual data showed a 26% increase in pull requests.
And for anyone not living in GitHub all day, a pull request is essentially a coder submitting a new batch of code to be reviewed and merged into the main project.
Exactly, you got it.
So individual coders are churning out like a quarter more code than before.
Right, but the systemic gains for the company as a whole were only 5 to 15%.
Whoa! Wait, where did the rest of that productivity go?
It got stuck in the bottleneck. Because when junior developers write 26% more code, somebody has to actually review it.
Oh, man.
You still deeply need senior expertise to review the logic, fact-check the architecture, ensure security protocols are met, and implement that code into the broader system.
Ah, I see.
The junior worker can generate the raw material faster, but the human bottleneck shifts entirely to the quality control phase.
So if you only give the AI to your juniors, they just create a massive traffic jam on the desk of your senior people.
Precisely. The senior staff simply gets overwhelmed with verifying AI-generated work. This proves why upskilling must happen for everyone in the organization simultaneously.
You can't leave the seniors behind.
No. If the juniors are moving faster, the seniors need AI tools optimized specifically for reviewing and integrating, so the entire pipeline moves at the same accelerated speed.
Okay, if giving juniors AI just creates a massive traffic jam on the senior developer's desk, how do we actually clear that jam?
Right, that's a real question.
Because obviously the answer isn't to take the AI away from the juniors. We need to move into the blueprint for optimization. How do we secure that actual return on investment?
The sources outline a very clear 3-part transition strategy to get out of pilot purgatory and into that top 1%. Step 1 is conducting diagnostic audits.
Diagnostic audits.
Yes. You cannot automate what you do not deeply understand. You need to identify exactly where time is lost in your specific processes.
But what does a diagnostic audit actually look like on, a random Tuesday in an office?
Well, it means moving past asking people what they do, because humans are notoriously bad at estimating how they spend their time.
That is so true. We always lie to ourselves about that.
Exactly. So it involves shadowing, time tracking, and breaking down a role into its component parts. Take a mid-level supply chain manager, for example.
Okay.
You have to figure out how much time they spend formatting the weekly inventory report in Excel versus actually analyzing the inventory strategy, You look for the routine.
Like drafting boilerplate emails, generating basic code, initial data analysis.
Yes, exactly. That routine work is what you hand over to the AI first,
It's about hunting down those repetitive chores that drain mental energy before the real work even begins.
which leads to step 2, human integration. The goal here is achieving what the researchers call super agency.
Super agency. I mean, that sounds a bit like a concept from a sci-fi novel. What does it actually look like in practice?
It is the academic concept of humans and AI combining in a symbiotic relationship to amplify capability. It means the AI isn't just an intern doing grunt work.
It's a collaborator.
Right. To achieve super agency, you have to shift your employee training away from basic software navigation and focus heavily on rigorous prompt engineering and fact-checking.
So the skill set changes completely.
Exactly. The human's job shifts from creating everything from scratch to directing, prompting, and refining the AI's output.
Here is where the shift in mindset becomes critical. Treating AI like a magic vending machine where you punch in a prompt, hit a button, and expect a perfectly finished product to drop out is the fastest way to fail.
Oh, 100%.
You are going to get frustrated when it makes a mistake and you'll just quit. Instead, the mindset has to be treating the AI like an industrial exoskeleton.
I like that. Break down the mechanics of the exoskeleton idea for me.
Think about it this way. If you step into a robotic exoskeleton, you don't just go to sleep and let the suit do the work.
Obviously not.
Right. You still have to do the walking. You still have to do the heavy lifting. You are the one steering and providing the balance. But the suit amplifies your strength tenfold.
It gives you leverage?
Exactly. You can lift a car instead of a cardboard box. The human is still the core engine of the operation. The AI is just the amplification suit.
That framework highlights exactly why training is so important. You have to teach people how to move inside the suit so they don't lose their balance.
Yes.
And you have to measure the strength of that suit, which is step 3. Measurement, you have to move past anecdotes. Hearing, like, Sarah feels like she got a lot done today, is not a business strategy.
No, it's really not.
You need clear KPIs, exact time saved, output quality scores, and hard ROI. The data shows that the top companies who actually implement this measurement are seeing a 3.7x return for every single dollar they invest in AI.
Wow, a 3.7 times return is incredible, and we see real-world examples of this blueprint working in the sources.
Absolutely.
Like there's a specific case of a marketing team that used these audits to go from writing 10 posts a week to 30 high-quality posts, or developers who finally freed up their time from writing basic boring code so they could actually brainstorm and innovate new features.
And we are also seeing this impact unevenly across the globe and across industries. The banking, tech, retail, and service sectors are seeing the highest impact right now globally.
Right.
But there is a fascinating geographic note in the data regarding small and medium enterprises, or SMEs. Particularly in Spain and Latin America, SMEs are showing rapid growth in AI adoption.
But they're still lagging behind, right?
Yeah, they're still lagging behind the larger corporate early adopters in reaching that maturity phase.
Which means there is a massive competitive window open right now. Smaller businesses in those regions have a brief moment to grab this exoskeleton and run with it before their competitors figure out how to turn the machine on.
That's a great way to put it.
But look, an exoskeleton sounds incredible right up until the suit malfunctions and you accidentally punch a hole in the office wall.
Yeah, which happens.
What are the honest, realistic challenges of scaling this technology safely?
It is definitely not a friction-free transition. The sources are very clear about the persistent hurdles. The most famous, of course, is what the industry calls hallucinations.
Oh, yeah. That's when the AI just completely makes a fact up out of thin air, but presents it with absolute, unwavering confidence.
Yes. It presents a silly, sometimes dangerous error as an undeniable fact, which can ruin a project if it isn't caught.
It's terrifying, honestly.
It is. You also have massive human resistance to change, as people naturally fear what they don't understand. But the golden rule the research proposes to mitigate these hurdles is actually pretty simple.
Keep a human in the loop at all times.
Keep a human in the loop. You never let the AI hit send or publish completely on its own. The human is always the final arbiter.
Always. But that brings us to a complex psychological challenge.
Right?
This actually brings up a point in the source material that genuinely confused me. The data mentions that adopting AI can actually lead to fatigue and intensify work.
Yes, the fatigue factor.
That feels totally contradictory to everything we just talked about. If I have a tool writing my Monday morning emails faster and better than I ever could, how in the world does that make me more tired?
It is a brilliant observation, and it goes right back to how management handles the new capacity. If the AI saves you 2 hours a day, what happens to those 2 hours?
Well, I assume my boss just gives me more work to do to fill the time.
That is the exact problem. Without proper management, the time saved by AI is instantly backfilled with more tasks.
Ah, I see.
So instead of doing 10 tasks at a normal, healthy pace, you are now managing 30 tasks at lightning speed. It leads directly to burnout.
That sounds miserable.
It is. But there is a second layer to this fatigue that is purely neurological, and it has to do with how our brains process information.
Wait, really? How does the brain process AI work differently?
Think about the cognitive load of constantly fact-checking an AI. When you write an email yourself, you know what you meant to say. Your brain is in a creative, generative mode.
Right.
But when you are reviewing an AI's output, you are constantly on high alert. You're looking for those silly hallucinations that might make you laugh in private, but could completely ruin a quarterly report if they slip through.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, reading to verify and reading to catch a machine's subtle mistakes uses a very different, often much more exhausting type of mental energy than just creating something yourself.
Oh, wow. I feel that deeply. It is the exact difference between driving a car and being a driving instructor in the passenger seat watching a teenager drive a car.
Oh, that is perfect.
When you're driving, your muscle memory takes over and you're relaxed. When you're the instructor, you're physically doing less, but you are mentally exhausted.
Because you're terrified they're going to miss a stop sign.
Exactly. And you are constantly slamming an imaginary brake pedal.
That is a perfect illustration of the cognitive load shift. Your brain is essentially constantly slamming the imaginary brake pedal while reading AI outputs.
Which is exhausting.
It is. And this is why the sources emphasize that training cannot just be dry technical manuals. It has to be engaging, focusing on quick wins to reduce that initial resistance and cognitive fatigue.
Right. You have to train people on how to efficiently review, not just how to prompt.
Exactly.
Okay, let's bring this all together. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. The core message ringing out from all these sources is that AI is not some distant sci-fi future. It is the accelerated present.
It's already here.
It really is. It has the potential to generate a standalone 0.1 to 0.6% annual productivity boost globally, and up to 3.4% when you combine it with other emerging tech.
But the key to remember is that this isn't about replacing humans. It's about supercharging them.
It is about putting on the exoskeleton.
Yes. The transition from messy experimentation to measured optimization is the only way to realize those gains. You have to move past the novelty of the tool and do the hard work of system integration.
So here is our challenge to you listening right now. Audit your own workflows this week. Look closely at your daily tasks and find just 2 or 3 specific areas where you can move out of that crazy experiment mode and start building your actual system.
Find the bottlenecks. Measure the time saved.
And as you do that, I want to leave you with a final, broader implication to ponder. We have established how hard it is to reach that 1% of AI maturity.
It's very hard.
But eventually, the tools will become easier to use. Eventually, the friction will drop, and every company will reach that 1% maturity level.
Right. Eventually, everyone figures out how to plug the machine in and use it properly.
Exactly. So if everyone eventually has a perfectly optimized AI co-pilot amplifying their work, what becomes the new competitive differentiator?
That's the real question.
When raw speed and basic quality are completely commoditized by AI, what uniquely human trait will you need to cultivate to stand out in that future?
That is the trillion-dollar UK-size question.
It really is. When everyone has the exoskeleton, it is not about how much you can lift anymore. It is about where you decide to walk. Keep digging, keep questioning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.